Girl, why do you look like that? Anime as a medium has a long and complex relationship with the idol industry, both in its references and sometimes literal production. I'm gay, so I clearly have a vested interest in the concept of idols. I've had my K-pop group arc as a teen, and at this point I probably know most of the KyoAni dance breaks off by heart. But I am going to attempt to catalogue off the entire history here. I mean, that ain't this video. Plus, that's hard and requires a lot of thinking, and I love not thinking. Let's face it folks, the only thing actually keeping me together at this point is the potential of Street Fighter 6 Zangief tits and whatever form of iced coffee I consumed this morning before work. But don't worry, I will attempt to do my best. Just please be gentle, Idolmaster fans. Idols as a concept are honestly sort of hard to research at this point. Like, for starters, what the heck is even the criteria to define one? As a word, it can obviously link back to stuff like idol worship of a man-made religious object, which, let's face it, isn't too different from the modern concept of idols in like a real-world modern sense. They're usually extremely conventional, attractive male or female performers, which again, literally can just mean anyone who's popular. But I suppose in like a Japanese or Korean sense, there's a far bigger focus on fan worship. If you've ever been in an SM group idol video revealed YouTube chat, you know how insatiable some of these kids are for idols on a very visceral animal level. But the thing is, where the hell do I even start with the concept of anime idols? I mean, my first thought was obviously Macross. Lin Minmay was out here in '82 giving the girls what they really needed.
Yeah, this is extremely like you're trying to say Lin-Manuel Miranda, aren't you? I'm gonna kill you!
But honestly, that seems too early for my liking. Like, anime was already around the time that Cobra hit cinemas in Japan. Like, could we even count Urusei Yatsura? For example, Lum's original voice actress was Fumi Hirano, who was a radio DJ who had a pretty big otaku following, so she auditioned on a whim because people just thought she would be really good for the role. So, by that logic, is Lum a main pop girl? By future funk standards, she definitely is. Okay, so while doing some more research on Urusei Yatsura, I know I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but we just have to get over it at this point, I found just the most delicious nugget of gold. So somehow in the blessed year of 2000, British media empire BBC decided to put on an improvisational dub of the first few episodes of Urusei Yatsura as part of a weird special Japan night airing block, where the show was renamed to Lum the Invader Girl. Folks, I cannot state how unbelievably unhinged these series of episodes were. It features the voice talents of Anna Friel as Lum, and motherfucking Matt Lucas as t.A.T.u.
What do you say, t.A.T.u? Will you save the planet and all mankind? Fuck off!
Like, who the hell actually allowed this? To be quite honest, this probably deserves its own video at some point. I'm dying to know who else they got for some of these dubs. Did they get Rowan Atkinson and Dawn French for Akira? God, Britain's fucking weird. I would also like to point out that I am filming this video on the Queen's funeral.
Chanel, Gaultier, or Giorgio Armani, Moschino, Alaya, or Norma Kamali.
So, let's face it, it's past '82 is where the girls really began to show up. The economic bubble was beginning to expand and idols begun to pop up literally everywhere, but in real life and multimedia projects, like anime. Obviously Macross cemented the standard as pretty weird to begin with. I mean, the idea of a girl who sings so good that she solves genocide is pretty nuts when you actually think about it. But, I mean, have you seen the way people acted when Beyonce came back? Life imitates art, baby. Macross continued to get pretty out there in general, though. I mean, I'm convinced that Macross Plus is the singular most early 90s piece of anime to ever exist. And let me be straight here for a second. Well, as straight as I can be. I'm just gonna say it. Sharon Apple outsold every girl in every key demographic. The sheer amount of slay that goddamn witchy robot put out is undisputed. She was the goddamn anime equivalent of Caroline Polachek. Though, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. I mean, the mid-80s had a bunch of fair weirdos other than Macross. Like, I mean, has anyone watched, Toyoi? Adapted from the manga of the same name, Toyoi was a 1987 OVA that tells the story of Toyoi, who's the recent hot shit lead singer of an up-and-coming punk band that are sweeping the back alleys of 1980s Tokyo. And yes, for the record, that is actually his name. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Throughout the 45-minute runtime, we follow Toyoi and his band of merry gays through the highs and lows of making music, and the struggle of independent musical expression, or the age-old dilemma of selling out. I bring it up because it's honestly a very early look at the concept of idols portrayed in anime, and hey, it just so happened to actually sort of rule. I was legit just gonna make it a footnote, because guys, we haven't even gotten to the title of this video yet. And yeah, goddamn, try and give me a freaking harder name to research there, AniList. This shit is near on impossible to find any info on. I ended up getting more Tuvelu in my feed over and over again than the actual anime, though I suppose that's not really a problem.
Tuvelo? Period!
I'd say Toyoi's best quality is its easy breezy vibes for sure. It's got such a fresh wave race ass crispness to its aesthetic. I'd kill to hang out with Toyoi and his incredibly gay friends. Like, god damn, y'all, his girlfriend is so cute.
Nani?
Absolute peak shit. A lot of the OVA follows Toyoi's internal struggle with the concept of leaving his band behind to become an independent idol. And I think the thing really shines in how well it presents the fleeting memories of youth and the dumb choices that you make that could really affect your entire life just by acting on feeling. Toyoi, he's complex. He's legit got a lot to think about. Hell, he's literally still in school and using music as a hobby, and the OVA does a really good job of presenting that inner turmoil with so much style. Like, hell gang, motherfucking Masuya Matsura oversaw the entire musical composition for the project. You know, the goddamn Parappa the Rapper guy? It honestly tracks, the entire OST slaps so hard and it felt so fresh and nostalgic in only a way he could produce. Thanks apart to him and his band Psy-S, who produced a huge amount of the OVA songs, all of which are absolute eternal bangers. Even in the OST, you can hear the influence it gave later stuff like Beck and Nana. It's pretty nuts just how influential this thing actually is in hindsight. Hell, I mean, last year it even got a Blu-ray release out of nowhere after like 34 years of silence. Seriously, like, I'd recommend this thing if you're even in any way interested. Go give it a watch on the Internet Archive or just listen to the OVA playlist on YouTube. You'll have a great night. So, obscure 80s OVAs aside, the further we actually went into the 80s and 90s, the more idols we actually began to see. Shows began to spring up everywhere. Magical Anime Girl Nami, Idol Project, Key the Metal Idol, and of course the sad big bitch herself, Perfect Blue. Obviously, like, there's absolutely nothing I can really say about Perfect Blue that hasn't been said at this point. But I guess, like, if Toyoi was the show about how difficult the profession actually is, something like Perfect Blue is about how horrible idols actually are as a job. It's iconic for a reason. The thing has become one of the most influential pieces of anime ever produced at this point, really. The psychological girl boss, so iconic, even Darren Aronofsky couldn't help but take a piece of the pie. Have you guys actually seen that Satoshi Kon interview where he just dead ass says that he stole his ideas and wanted to be paid for it?
こらえきれずにバカ野郎とこの2カットまんまアングルも構図も同じで
上からのと、
はい
この水の中の、
はいレクイエム・フォー・ドリームに、使われているんですけど本人に会って確認したらオマージュだってオマージュですよ私にこの私にでレクイエム・フォー・ドリームでこのじゃあミマのこのお風呂にこう入ってるのとこう顔つけてるの誰がジェニファー・コネリーですよね去年同じ飛行機に乗ってましたファーストクラスでしたね向こうはね一家で
あら
ビジネスクラスだったんでね
かぶってますよねだいぶ
かぶってるっていうかパグリなんじゃねえのみたいな
But wow, what a moment.
Okay, so quick side note, I would like to recount an anecdote, a story if you will, and it tangentially has to do with this, but I kind of had to bring it up at this point. Okay, so once me and a bunch of buds were on a road trip to go see Sonic 2, which, yeah, banger film by the way, so we were all chatting in the car and somehow Perfect Blue came up in conversation, and out of nowhere my friend Alder began to argue just how he thinks the film is really crap and how it's really overrated, and we didn't understand as to why I thought it was a masterpiece. So, shocker, he actually got mistook for another anime, La Blue Girl. Needless to say, it's one of my favorite memories of him because it's just so goddamn stupid. Anyway, where were we? So, while Perfect Blue may have been the premier sad girl anime idol, Key the Metal Idol actually holds up pretty well in that arena too. And to be honest, it stood the test of time for being used for locked Twitter profile accounts for a goddamn reason. It fucking rips. I swear to God. The show follows a sort of Pinocchio-esque setup where a robot girl will be granted a transformation to human if she makes 30,000 friends. Which, of course, any normal person does. She decides to become an idol. Though, what starts out as a pretty normal OVA about an alt Mega Man quickly turns into one of the most disturbing psychological thrillers I've ever seen. Legit, the last 2 episodes of this thing dumb down the show's nonsensical tone and delve into some pretty fucked up questions about the occult, science, and the concept of a third form of life form between life and death. It's fucking nuts. Key is definitely one of those 90s OVAs you hear about in hushed tones and fuzzy screenshots for years, but you never actually get around to watching it. While it's definitely not genre defining or anything, I really respect just how much confidence it carries itself with. Even with such a stupid initial premise it has, no matter what the dub actually says.
Get your butt off of the stage, man! Get out of here! Yeah, you're wrecking the concert! Get out! Come on, get lost already! Get out!
Yeah, while I usually go with English dubs a lot of the time for the inherent camp factor of the 90s, something about this one really just didn't land with me. Which is okay, because god damn, the vibes here are enough to carry you through this thing. Even if you aren't all that fussed by the truthfully pretty messy string events that make up the 12 episode runtime. I'm usually not the one to bring up pacing when it comes to anime, because if something is good, the ride should be enough. But be warned, I did find the beginning half of this thing pretty hard to get through at times, which, to be honest, I think could be by design. Key's efforts to accomplish her dreams don't tend to go anywhere for a lot of the first few episodes, and while that's mostly due to the fact that she's being pursued by a madless gang of scientists for undisclosed shady reasons, she's also just sort of a mess. I actually weirdly related to her apathetic, ditzy-like behaviour at times. She spends a lot of the time talking about becoming an idol and her dreams, but doesn't actually have any follow-through to pursue them, which, god girl, same. Hell, her roommate at times just yells at her for the fact that she sleeps all the time. And listen, as a lethargic, sleepy bottom, I relate to this 100%. A lot of the time is actually spent in a war with herself about how she can actually achieve her dream. A concept I definitely get, especially when it comes to gaining success online. There's very little of Key's actual career in the show, which sort of ends up becoming textual to it, because what this show seems on its surface is extremely different from what it ends up coming in the end. Because believe me, it just takes a while to get there, but it's weirdly worth it in the end. Because, like, please do not take my words on the show's slow pacing as a negative critique. I just have a bad attention span sometimes. And even with that, I really loved my time with this show. The presentation, both visually and in its OST, do a really huge amount to help with that, because goddamn, not since Blue Sub number 7 have I found an OVA series that speaks to me in such a specific, jazz-filled, melancholy haze. Part of the show's tone is definitely due to the thing's pretty impeccable sense of 90s-ass setting. Like, motherfucker, the thing has a goddamn Eraserhead and Fire Walk With Me reference back to back. Whoever made this thing was absolutely obsessed with David Lynch, and like, god, he's just like me for real. Hazy summer nights swallow so much of this show's presentation. Even with the sheer horror of the Key's existence sets in the longer the show progresses, you really feel a sense of time and place that the cast inhabit. It's definitely got shades of Serial Experiments Lane too, and its deeply messed up and abstract dream sequences, or its slow day-to-day life moments. I don't know why I said that. I've never seen Serial Experiments Lane. It just seems like a thing you should say. So, with the end of the 90s, we usher in the Y2K virtual idol projects, where we've begun to see kind of like an influx of corporate-created singers that all feed off the boom of the Vocaloid Miku bangers. We got people like Genki Rockets and Aki Ross, Square Enix's early attempt at a fictional actress that would star in all their projects, but was, you know, subsequently completely canned due to the colossal failure that was Spirits Within. Similar, I suppose, in a way, was how Kenji Eno was posing Laura as sort of a virtual actress throughout all of his games. Starting, of course, with her absolute Oscar award-winning performance in D.
Ooh, it's genuinely quite stressful.
Also, y'all, goddamn motherfucking Phantom Crash, though? I bring up this extremely obscure 2002 mech combat game because it actually featured a virtual idol called Mona Lisa, and god, just look at her, she's so freaking cute. By the way, goddamn, this game's OST is so underrated. I have no idea how I've never heard of it before because this thing has some absolute jams in it. Virtual idols obviously wouldn't come into their own until later stuff like Gorillas in a more western sense. And even stuff like VTubers or like Kizuna AI could have been seen as a concept of this, just more popular. But obviously they had to start somewhere. And I mean, of course it had to be also an anime. Or whatever the fuck Yukai Terrorized Secrets is.
Oh my god!
Yukai Terrorized was a virtual idol who debuted in 1999 with a single, Etc/Bohemia. She was described as a vivacious 17-year-old who lives just outside Tokyo. In most ways, she is every way a typical teen girl. Except that she doesn't exist. She's the brainchild of computer animator Kenichi Kutsagi. And boy, why do I keep mentioning men who create doll-like women to do their bidding for this channel? I don't really know why. I'm sure it has nothing to do with my inner demons. The reason I bring her up is because for some reason she has her own 2000 OVA series, which acts as a sort of self-contained series of stories where she acts as like a doll to whatever the situation calls for. She can pretty much have any job, just like Barbie. She can be pretty much whatever you want. Space traveler? Check. Singer? Dunzo. Sexy cat burglar? Hell yeah. She sort of reminds me of Rieko Nagase from Ridge Racer in that she can be poised to be a recurring idol who can just appear in multiple jobs and outfits over the course of loads of different media. And it doesn't even end with jobs. Sometimes the shorts delve into some pretty disturbing imagery and ideas, and it's honestly where the thing shines the most. There's a real deliberate nature to how these shorts are framed in contrast to the more sillier ones. Quite a lot of these realistically look like Tekken 2 ass ending clips, but the moments where the show is more intimate and quiet is where the CG hits the perfect sweet spot between looking old and uncanny to becoming something way cooler and mysterious. I mean, you know, Attractive Action Club worked in it. And you know those actions sure are attractive! While researching, I did find out that Yukai technically isn't the OG idol on the market, as that esteemed honor would go to Kyoko Date, who predated her by 3 years in 1996.
Now you might think she's just not the kind of girl to set prepubescent pulses racing. But here in Japan, the biggest selling computer game is Tokimeki Memorial, in which anyone who logs on gets to step out with an animated girlfriend. Virtual babes are big business, and Kyoko Date's the perfect weenie bopper idol for a nation hooked on high tech.
In a sharp sting of reality, however, she did not experience all that much success, sadly. Her first track, Love Communication, sold less than 30,000 units. So, needless to say, high flop. In a way I get it though. Yuki wasn't exactly a hit either, and it wouldn't be a while before we saw newly fully CG idols becoming big. To be honest, at this point, going up against a single girl from the Tokimeki Memorial expanded universe was absolute suicide. Shiori Fujisaka was absolutely unstoppable at this point. Kyoko ended up changing voices a few times, and she even rebranded as Diki in Korea in 1999, and once again, the girls were really not feeling it. By the way, she somehow actually ended up spawning 2 other Date Persona characters, one of which ended up as a goddamn VTuber. It's wild that no matter what form the girl took, she couldn't scratch the 100 top Billboard chart. And for what? Did you get the clicks and engagement? She wasn't even that good. I mean, hey, she didn't get an anime now, did she? So suck it, Kyoko. Yuki Terrorized supremacy, folks. So yeah, virtual idols. They count as anime, I guess. They land somewhere between reality and fiction, and I don't think we've really fully explored that. I mean, obviously now we have the rise of VTubers, and like I didn't even mention Miku because I thought that would be too obvious, but there has to be a weird middle ground between anime tits and actual porn stars, right? Did I say porn stars?
How could you do this to me? Question mark.
But there has to be a weird middle ground between anime tits and actual pop stars, right? I don't know, just a thought. I'll get back to it, don't worry, but for now, we've got bigger fish to fry. Namely, we've got a revolution to address here, folks. The 2000s begun the true rise of idol shows, where the industry begun to be flooded with near consistent seasons of shows like Idolmaster, Love Life, you name it, there's a near countless stream of pretty girls and boys dancing and singing to banger after banger. Now, listen, I cannot take the time to get invested in goddamn Love Live this late into production of the video, but just know, yes, I had an Utano Sama phrase, and yes, looking back, my god, the bar was on the floor. I thought this was hot. What was wrong with me? Now this is more like it. Honestly, if we're talking idol anime, we have to give an honorary shout out to K-On! Though I guess I could honestly just say that for most of what KyoAni has actually produced at this point. The studio clearly has a love for music in their work, and idols or idol aesthetics pop up in their stuff all the time. There's a reason why the KyoAni dance break has become so universally loved, and to be honest, they probably predicted the TikTok dance craze. Legit, if Haruhi had released today, I swear to god the ending dance would have blown up. An absolute marketing triumph, truly lost in a different time and era. Y'all have heard me sing the praise of KyoAni plenty of times in this channel, and let's face it, this isn't going to be the last time either. Believe me, I've probs got an entire K-On! Video in me at this point. But for now, I think it would be criminal not to mention just how much of an impact this thing had on both anime in general, but also the Western marketing consuming at the time. Anime was going through sort of a transitional period from its hypeful growth in the early 2000s, and K-On!'s 2009 release saw it stand out even among the heady hitters like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Bakemonogatari, and Fairy Tail. The thing did goddamn numbers, and the influx of anime inspired by it both continued the Moe Revolution, but also kickstarted animes like Love Live in 2010, which I'm pretty sure is still going. I don't really know, I'm too scared to check at this point. I mean, let's face it, the entire anime fandom at this point was so idol-pilled, it was already in the water. Karma Delessen had already become an institution at cons and meetups, so K-On!'s success was only a matter of time, to be honest. People were tired. The financial crisis had well and truly begun, and people just wanted to dance. And those goddamn cute girls had the answer. And it was truly just lively, never-ending girls talk. Hey, mid-roll ad, Coffee here. Thank you everyone for, well, making it this far through the video. We're not even halfway done, folks. Please continue. On the screen currently, you're watching myself go insane, but also the Patreon faces. These supporters are pretty much the only reason why this video was made at this point. The long, extensive break that I had taken for about 3 months was pretty tough. I went through a lot. But I'm doing better, don't worry, and I cannot thank everyone enough for the support that I've gotten. It's been really sweet. If you're interested in any way of what you've seen so far and supporting the channel, please contribute to the Patreon. You can get one of these faces and credit in the video for £5 a month, and it only goes up from there, really. I have a Discord server where we consistently talk about memes, but also my current videos. So if you think that's interesting, please support. I've also been doing voice work over on Hazel's channel. Kono yo no heishi de koi no utoyo soju you know. Oh boy. You can find her probably anywhere on the internet at this point, but links in the description. And also, me and my good friend Demenzagate have started a YouTube channel. It's called Happy Campers. It's about 90s movies. It's about camp stuff. It's about silly gay little films. We're really proud of it, so please give it a listen. Our first episode is about Josie and the Pussycats, who, you know, are idols in their own right, so it fits this video in some way. So please go watch that episode. We're really proud of it. I did all the art for it. It turned out really cute. Link in the description for that as well. You can also find down there my TikTok, my Twitter, pretty much everywhere you can find me. And again, thank you so much everyone. I'll let you get back to the video. I don't think I have anything else to plug. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier with virtual idols, let's face it, modern pop music has an obsession with anime. Well, scratch that. It's had that for a while, to be honest. As all pieces of culture are, pop music is pretty much a melting pot of all popular ideas at the time morphed into one. Hence the name. Various commercial hits shoved into a blender and reconstructed into whatever is the most marketable at the time. Be it the melodrama of the late 90s and 2000s to the mid-2000 influx of country pop, we've seen the genre change and swing to pretty much whatever comes a-knockin'. So it's no surprise that nasty old Orientalism rears its head every now and again. Listen, I'm aware that pop has a lot of issues to it, but I'm gay and it's in my blood, so I am gonna sit here and give an essay on that subject. That's way out of my pay grade. But what I will do is talk to you about how anime sensibilities have crept their way into a lot of pop stars' work in recent years. Let's run down the list. While it doesn't super count, if we don't base this discussion in homogenous pop star use of anime in their work, we can't not start with Daft Punk, specifically Interstellar 5555. The story of the secret 5-star. Yes, no, that is actually how it's spoken, they replaced the S with 5s. It's a goddamn math equation, or Kingdom Hearts subtitle. Let's face it, we all know this thing. It's pretty much one of those animes that, like, even your dad has seen. The thing is just an iconic piece of both anime, but also music history, and for god goddamn reason. It's fucking rad. If y'all don't already know, Interstellar 5555 was a 2003 Toei film that basically acts as a visual guide to Daft Punk's second studio album, Discovery. I'm actually quite a big Daft Punk fan, to be honest. They served a real entryway into electronic music for me, along with many others, I guess. They obviously were huge in Europe, and I remember a lot of my very early wee Irish kid memories being connected to their songs. So when I found out they had an entire anime film back in like 2013, I was enamored. The thing holds up so well. It's got that timeless quality that all of Leiji Matsumoto's work brings, but with a banging OST to boot. I could honestly go on and on about how much I adore Matsumoto's work here and how he brings such a unique, otherworldly approach to these slender, alien-ass designs. But all I have to really do is let the footage speak for itself. I love how all his women look like beautiful ghosts. I love his approach to colour and mood. I love how sometimes his men are just incredibly stunning Casanovas, and sometimes without any explanation, they're just little guys. Oh, it's so good. The whole thing has so much confidence. It has the brazen energy of that one-time production IG made a goddamn Akira-ass ad based on Irish Stout. No, but like really, Ireland is just like this. For real, for real. I'd say that Interstellar is definitely anime inspiration in pop music at its peak. The entire thing drips with creativity, charm, and love for both anime's past and craft, but conversely, the eternal bangers of two frunky French robots. If you haven't seen it, it's like everywhere. Please go watch it at some point, it's an absolute trip. Wait, was that motherfucking Doraemon in the intro to Tragedy? Who the hell was a big fan of Doraemon in Steps? Was it H? Was Lisa Scott Lee secretly a big Kurosko fan?
No, it's shit like guys.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't be too surprised. I guess Doraemon is sort of like Garfield of Japan. Hell, I saw a goddamn candy of him in the store next to me the other day, so who am I to judge Steps on what confusing anime references they use? But this is just how weird and small this stuff can get, folks. Like, do we even count Caramella Girls? Like, yes, they aren't technically a real pop band, per se. They were constructed via a sped-up version of a Swedish Euro track by a band called Caramel. Yes, the band and Caramel Girls are two separate entities, due to later going on to create multiple songs themed after the success of the original single, many of which are literally just the same song again with the words changed. But let's face it, y'all already know this story if you've been on this side of YouTube for very long. If not, go watch that Jan Masali video on the backstory because it's absolutely bonkers and he did such a good job. If we want to talk pop music and anime, we have to go back to the source. We need to talk about the music video that changed an entire generation of gays. Forever. A music video that I can only describe as Akira for the gays.
It's been a while.
Did you know that Britney Spears actually invented anime with this song? No, it's true, it's true.
No, it's true. It's true.
If you've never seen this thing before, I question how the hell you found my channel, but to speak to the innocents in the room, Break the Ice was the 4th song off Britney Spears' 5th studio album, Blackout. Regardless of what you think of Blackout or not, it's an unparalleled fact that Break the Ice has cemented itself as one of Britney Spears' best songs of all time. It's an absolute undisputed slay.
Big slay.
Wait, like Big Slay?
Yeah, big slay. You're killing
Stop
me.
it, girl.
It wasn't a new concept for Britney at this time. Animated music videos sort of became her thing after this, especially with the release of Kill the Lights in 2008 off her 6th studio album, Circus.
The concept for the video Circus is basically about, a circus.
Obviously different styles, yeah, but the anime influence is definitely there. The vibes of Break the Ice are about as entrenched in early 2000s digital art anime as a piece of Western media can ever really get. What I want to know is, who the hell actually made this thing? Like, from a glance online, it seems like no one actually has a clue. Both Wikipedia and the Britney Spears wiki claim it was directed by some guy called Robert Hales, and was produced in a studio in South Korea.
Girl.
Like, am I meant to just take that at face value as an answer and just move on? I can't do that. I'm me. What I did find out was that there was some kind of proto-ARG where Britney invited a bunch of fans to a website called the Blackout Ball. They'd need to log on to a website in which they would go to a URL to enter 2 separate passwords, victory and danger, in order to access a chat log, which would then give them access to the music video. Like, what in the hell is this early dark web shit, and what the fuck is that font? Graphic design is definitely my passion. I mean, listen, to be honest, this wouldn't be the most cryptic thing that Britney has ever done in her career, not by a landslide.
Please. Do you want me to tell you your future?
No thanks. I choose my own destiny.
Radiance, a new fragrance from Britney Spears.
Choose your own destiny.
Go on, girl, give us nothing. To be quite honest, I have no idea how to actually research this stuff other than just being very good with general search engines. Like, how am I actually meant to source the production company behind this music video? Wikipedia, My Anime List, and IMDb all come up empty, and there aren't really that many resources of pre-internet pop culture. Like, who do you think I am, Mila Tequila? I know it's gonna be, like, anticlimactic. I just found it. Okay, when I say I found it, I mean, I asked a daddy of mine for help, and he literally found it in like 5 minutes through his magical ways. Turns out, through a quick search on,
Annie Search.
Yeah, truly the most reputable of sources. Well, okay, fuck it, either way, because they actually had a company sourced, Studio Animal. Now, while I don't know if we were gonna take this as an official source, what with the site having such iconic pieces of info, like the target audience of this music video being male, suspicious. Lo and behold, with a quick Google search, you can actually find the music video for Break the Ice listed on their portfolio website. So yeah, South Korean animation studio definitely was correct, when not a single source decided to actually, link the studio is beyond me, but we found it. I am not gonna start the whole what is defined as anime discourse in this video, y'all can fight that out for yourself, but I'm just proud I found this thing at all. Seems like Studio Animal has been around since 2000 and produced sort of a mixture between licensed gun-for-hire stuff and their own works, including a furry show called Welcome to the Jungle, and its 2020 horror movie about online beauty standards called Beauty Water.
Radiance, a new fragrance from Britney Spears.
Well hey, mission accomplished folks, we found it. Sometimes, if you can't find something online, you just gotta ask an adult for help. Am I saying that this music video turned me gay? No, that ship had sailed a long time ago. Did it make me a weeb? Only time will tell. Speaking of turning gay though.
He needs some milk.
Okay, yeah, so it would be pretty impossible to touch Western anime collaborations without talking about Porter Robinson. Soft boys across the globe wept openly when in 2016 he and Madion released Shelter. Specifically though, it was the A1 Pictures animated music video for the thing that made it really blow up. Yeah, I think this thing was one of the first real examples of an anime becoming viral in a Western market on such a wide scale. Like, even your mom probably saw this thing on Facebook. It was absolutely everywhere, and I mean, of course it was. It was poised to be a breakout hit, to be honest. The thing was even produced and organised through Crunchyroll of all people. Though, the recent offering of Western-influenced anime has, let's just say, not been received anywhere near as well. And hey, their influence worked. We ate that shit up, and listen, I'll even hold my hands up and say I still got a soft spot for it. It's a genuinely cute music video. The short tells the story of a young girl trapped in an alternate reality after Earth is destroyed, where she goes through her days doing, you know, usual cutesy girl things until she comes to terms with the pretty horrific reality of both her family being dead, but also that she's been traveling through space presumably decades without a hope of any rescue in sight. Okay, yeah, maybe this thing was darker than I remember. I mean, yes, of course I loved this thing back in the day. Porter Robinson explicitly made music for bottoms to cry to. It was made to target me specifically. Well, I'm glad that I'm definitely well and truly graduated from uwu soft boy to, let's face it, whore. I can still appreciate this thing for how much it meant to me on those, like, sleepy 2016 morning rides to college that I took. It was important to me at the time. And listen, while I don't like to get too vulnerable on this channel, okay, once I wrote a super cringe article about how much I loved that music video on a website that I used to write for in the early 2000s, please don't go find it. And also, can we just move on and pretend it never happened?
Ciao. Anyway, so...
I think Porter is still doing music videos. Last time I checked, he was doing some song called Everything Goes On, and I think it's like part of League of Legends or something. They're behind me, aren't they?
Hi guys. Look at these lovely big tits. Do you know what we are? We're fucking cock destroyers.
Yeah, so I guess we gotta talk about League of Legends. More importantly, T.A.T.u. Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to know or even care about what the hell a Star Guardian is, but it's pretty clear that Riot has been pumping some serious cash into anime music videos for a lot of their properties. And what I'm of course referring to is not the 2001 accost to my eardrums that was having to hear Imagine Dragons in every episode of Arcane.
Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy.
But what I want to discuss today is the absolute chokehold that Riot Games had on every single gaming slut across the globe when they released Pop Stars in 2018. Y'all don't realize how feral this made the gays. I could not escape this goddamn thing for weeks at a time, and to be honest, I can't even blame them. The sheer amount of slay that this thing actually put out was unparalleled. I do get that, like, the entire project was pretty much a way to steamroll over the incredibly atrocious and horrific working conditions that their female staff at Riot had to undergo. So they just put out a girl boss music video in order to get rid of that stigma. And like, that shouldn't in any way be forgotten about the fact that that happened. But sadly, a slay is a slay, it's still at the end of the day. This thing was definitely marketing itself as yet another slice of the League of Legends multimedia pie, presenting its hottest and most expensive hero skins as members of a K-pop group called T.A.T.u, made of, 4 heroes I do not know the name of, and quite frankly, do not care enough to learn. What I do know is that this thing had some pretty huge names attached to it. Like, how the hell Riot convinced Madison Beer and Kim Petras to sign on to this thing, I will never know. But, I mean, I guess it isn't really hard to get Kim to do anything these days. I'm not gonna lie though, I found follow-ups Villain and more sort of mid, not only in their impact, but like, the general aesthetics was a little too Game Awards world premiere font for my liking.
World premiere.
Nowhere near the colossal hit that the OG was, and judging by the views on YouTube, I amn't alone in that opinion either. Will T.A.T.u continue, or will they go the way of half of the SM Entertainment's girl bands? I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest. So are the main pop girls these days still stans? Are they still upping their Crunchyroll subs every month, or have they moved on?
Yes, is that a serious question?
I think I am a what do they call it? I think they call it a flat earther.
Did anyone not want to tell me that Billie Eilish somehow got Takashi Murakami to direct her music video for You Should See Me in a Crown? I can't say I really pay attention to quite a lot of what the queen of the pick-me types produces these days. Hell, I never really fucked with her stuff that much because it's not really been my vibe, but like, mad respect for getting the icon that is Murakami to do your music video, like, goddamn. He's maybe one of the most important living Japanese visual artists out there, and like, it's insane that he's still doing work. He's such an idol, and hang on, wait, what?
Oh dear, that's not good. I feel the need to say the F word now.
Christ, can we never be free of this curse? The actual video is sort of mid, if I'm being honest. It focuses on a chibi Billy doing various edgy dances until she puts on her magical oversized sweatshirt, morphs into a giant spider, and destroys a Murakami flower city. Can't really say I think the two artists' styles really match very well at all, if I'm being honest. I'd much rather see him work with someone who matches his level of colour and vibrancy and the density of their sound as well. I mean, off the top of my head, someone like Magdalena Bay would have been an absolute banger of a collaboration. This though, it sort of feels like when you're in high school and you have to pick someone to come out to, so you come out to like the coolest girl that you can think of in your year, but you know, somehow on like your birthday she like outs you in a group chat and it's really embarrassing and it's become a core memory to your life. Too specific?
Dula Peepa.
Her name's Dua Lipa, but you call her Dula Peep.
Dula Peepa, I'm sorry.
So, Miss Duolingo is not a stranger to animated music videos. Her entire Future Nostalgia era featured a pretty extensive range of styles and genres, including Hallucinate's Rubber Hose ass 1940s style, and even the eternal Christmas music that was the Elton John Claymation remix. This all of course culminated with track 5 off her 2020 album Future Nostalgia, Levitating. And no, I'm not talking about the remix featuring Da Baby. So, to wipe that version out of our collective memory, Dua actually released an anime-inspired music video for it in 2021, and it's actually really good. Dua actually hired acclaimed anime Yas Girl fan artist Nasta Bluke for the project, an artist who's gained traction online from doing Dua Lipa edits of this hyper-girly nostalgic art style. All jokes aside though, this music video honestly banged, and it's super cool that a fan artist was actually able to work with one of pop music's biggest stars. I love how much passion and charm was put into the world of this video. It's got such a great blend between Dua Lipa's nostalgia visuals, like the neon floating car of the cover art, but like mixed with this super cute pastel Sailor Moon references. Shout out to that full makeup set in the background of one of the shots. I'm waiting for the Morphe collab soon. There's just so much charm packed into this thing. I adore how much time and effort went into making each one of the little furry mascot characters. They like rival some of Toriyama's best little dudes. When you really think about it, the impact that Vaporwave and specifically Future Funk has had on online aesthetics really can't be diminished. Because it's nuts that someone as big as Dua Lipa paid attention to it and allows this music video to carry on its legacy. Like, y'all think Young Bae really thought this shit would get this far? I definitely didn't.
It's been a long time since you.
The sheer unparalleled levels of mid this video conjures from a pretty cute concept to begin with sadly just results with lazy execution. Like that is pretty much one of Doja Cat's most uncontested bangers at this point. Yet for some reason, the director's vision for an anime pastel vibe check was having Doja Cat and Gucci pose on a car while animated Doja Cats hang out in PS1 hell. Listen, while Doja Cat's more modern stuff is definitely influenced by Latin beats and a goddamn certified Evergrace OST moment, she's still clearly a weeb at the end of the day.
I may be a princess, yes, but I'm the queen of my fucking business. I'm the manager. Who the fuck are you?
Which is why I'm still so disappointed in this music video. Like, it's fine, but the level of care and reference given to Sailor Moon here goes as far as, you know, some animated flourishes and that's about it. But let's face it, the thing is basically just a performance video, and as harsh as that sounds, you know I'm right. There was even meant to be more to this video, weirdly enough. There's footage online of a bunch of leaked elements that had to be cut from the original video, and it's actually somehow worse. Saying all that, Doja Cat at the end of the video doing the splits on beat was pretty on point, I'll give you that.
Did somebody say staring dog?
A really considered not talking about this one, mainly because the idea of mentioning Ed Sheeran on this channel actually makes me terrified I could gain any of his audience, which honestly sounds like my idea of hell at this point. I'd take gross Reddit forums over Ed Sheeran fans any day of the week. But listen, I just need to talk about the fact that, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, his 2021 smash flop Bad Habits got a Japanese music video that features an animated comic narrative style about a girl falling in love with a sexy vampire, all the while set to a song that I think I've heard stacking shelves more than I've seen my family this year. The whole thing was done by Rie Ikada, one of those viral Japanese illustrators you see shared around on Twitter and Instagram a lot. Thing is, for as crusty as Ed is, and how much I cannot stand his dribble, I actually really like this music video, and you have no idea how much it pains me to say that. Ikada's work really sells it, and I just really love their style. Got that really simple, fine line work, but heavy on the details like fluffy hair or glittery eyeshadow, contrasting the rest of the simple face. Now, would I prefer this video with literally any other song as a backing track? Absolutely I would.
Clap if you care. Clap if you care.
Vegas, let me hear y'all make some noise!
Working retail for a living has really done a number on my brain, but it's definitely made me notice advertising way more, which, let's face it, all of this shit is at the end of the day. For the last 3 years or so, I've worked cosmetic and fragrance retail, so I was basically the bitch in the mall who sprays you with perfume and tells you about vague ingredients. I bring this up because I basically was in charge of setting up all the marketing for a bunch of the perfumes and stuff in the store, and two of the brand's campaigns definitely stuck out to me. So in 2021, Gucci did two very chaotic things. One was agree to allow House of Gucci to release in cinemas.
Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Our heroes feel like the best part of us.
And the other was market their new fragrance Flora Gorgeous Gardenia with an anime Miley Cyrus. Why did this happen? Who allowed this to happen? Who at Gucci greenlit this? Was it Alessandro? Was it fucking Tom? The project was produced by animation studio Akatsuki, with acclaimed JoJo's and Saint Seiya character designer Terumi Nishi credited for bringing Ashley O herself into weeb form. The short animated sequence once again seems to mimic mostly Sailor Moon as a visual reference, with Miley using the perfume as a power-up, and I'm pretty sure the shot could be argued to be a Spirited Away reference, though I could be really reaching at that point. But yeah, it's a cute ad to be honest, and that is coming from someone who had to clock in and see it 24/7 during Christmas. So that says a lot. What I do not have fond memories for, however, is Ariana Grande's perfume line.
I am Black Lady.
The absolute chokehold this woman has on the lower tier perfume industry, folks. Let me tell you, I think the thing I was asked the most of in that job was probably, do you have any stock of Ariana Grande Cloud? And the answer was always, no, go away. 13-year-old girls go absolutely feral for this stuff. And I'm just gonna be honest, every single one of her scents smells the exact same. It's just vanilla. That's it.
Daring today, aren't we?
Yeah, all this to say, Arianka did an anime ad for her 2020 fragrance REM, named after her 2018 song off her fourth studio album, Sweetener.
Excuse me,
Fun fact actually, did you know that Ariana Grande's entire fragrance line are all named after her songs? Except Cloud, which is named after an obnoxiously difficult to make Starbucks drink. I really do have a lot of gay wank in my brain. So, similar to Gucci Floral Gardenia Gorgeous, REM got the same anime treatment, though definitely more inspired than explicitly referential. What the video is actually referencing is the continual space aesthetic that begun with the music video for Break Free. This Judy Jetson's hooker vibe has clearly become Ari's thing. It's kind of entrenched herself in a lot of her merch, including her entire makeup line also being called REM Beauty. So it's clear the girl loves a space vibe. The ad centers around Space Ari traveling around the stars with her sidekick Piggy. Shit gets real, however, when she lands on a planet where she finds out her dog has been kidnapped by a bunch of sexy Ari robots and a fucking gunbuster. She gets girl boss on his ass by creating a giant version of her fragrance, which explodes, and everyone's fine due to the power of marketing. Glad she got her dog back though, I guess. I hope she learned how to pet it correctly this time.
You know what I mean? Like, I would rather reinvent my sound and just do what I
am comfortable with. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'd rather...
That's about as much anime references that I could think of in modern pop music. Obviously more. I kind of brushed upon, you know, Nicki Minaj. There's a whole video there, don't worry. It's just a shame we never got the anime, you know? An actual big budget anime with like choreographed fight scenes and like new music from the pop star and a stupid backstory that makes no sense. It's just a shame we never got that. I feel like we deserved it. I guess Britney was probably the closest that we were gonna get to that, but... well, there is one other thing I can think of. Oh, you thought we were finished. Oh. So this next section might be hard to understand if you're not from Europe. But I'm not really going to apologize for that, that's your own fault. If you were alive during the early 2000s, it's pretty likely that you know the musical duo t.A.T.u, made up of Russian singers Lena Katina and Julia Volkova. They were most known for their 2002 album 2000 Kilometers Per Hour in the Wrong Lane, which went pretty much platinum basically on launch. Their album shot them to success along with their popular, let's say, form of visual branding.
Smack my ass, slurp, slurp.
Yeah, so the band was pretty much entirely based around a weird queer-baiting-esque performance thing, with the two girls playing out a fake lesbian romance to the general public in their songs and public appearances. Their biggest hits like All the Things She Said and Not Gonna Get Us present the girls as teenage, star-crossed lovers, and like they literally wore goddamn school outfits and plaid skirts and shit. It was pretty explicitly queer as a fetish, but you can't disagree, the girls gave camp. The duo even represented Russia in the 2003 Eurovision contest, where later Russia's main news channel attempted to say that RTE, Ireland's broadcasting unit, attempted to steal votes by creating a new jury, which in the end cost Russia the win, which is funny considering that year we sent this.
We've got the world tonight. Let's hold on together.
The two continued to make music until their eventual breakup in 2011, though the two were close to said rift in 2005, mostly due to their producer at the time, Ivan Shapovalov. So you may be asking yourself, why am I bringing up this Eurotrash, lesbianic, queer-baiting band from the early 2000s in a video about anime idols? Well, shocker. They made it big in Japan. Who could have guessed? The duo's rapid success in Japan included a visit to the country, which was honestly pretty fucking insane. Hell, the IAG made their first album go gold, and that wasn't even the popular record compared to their second one. They even visited Japan a few times, and girls, the tea was fucking scalding. A bunch of this stuff is recorded on Japanese talk shows, so obviously it's not like 100% trustworthy on either side, but needless to say, the girls were fighting for their lives. Their first visit was super hyped up in the media at the time, the news channels covering their kind of risque performance tactics. So what went down was the girls were meant to perform on like a pretty successful like late night music show, and then they were supposed to have a show at the Zepp Music Stadium the next day. But when the girls got there, the vibes were off.
そうです。
どこの学校の？
いや、ロシアのです。
あ、ロシアの。すごい触ってるわけですね。
For whatever reason, t.A.T.u ended up not performing on the show, and their concert was also cancelled, so needless to say, people were not happy. They then made it worse by going shopping around all of Tokyo and doing karaoke of their own songs on national television. God, the girls were just messy. Shit got even weirder when they promised to perform again at the end of the year in Tokyo, but before it, they crashed a political interview about the upcoming general election between the two prime minister candidates at the time. Girls, why did you do this? This is chaos! So eventually they did actually perform. And by all accounts, apparently it was really mid, and all of the fans were really let down and like disappointed.
I thought it was fun. I liked the beat.
So even with all of this drama, t.A.T.u had actually a pretty big following in Japan, so this stuff was even documented at all is kind of a big deal, to be honest. That's definitely saying something about the power of queer-coding schoolgirls in a Japanese audience is. From Russia, of all places. So I guess the amount of success they had in Japan, it shouldn't come as a surprise to say they had an anime.
Oh, that's right, divas. Snatch those wigs, cause it's getting hunty up in here.
Well, they nearly did.
You're a liar, a cheater, a sinner, and a homosexual.
So yeah, lost media hour again, folks, but for real this time. The project begun its life in 2003, where it was announced to be a movie tentatively named t.A.T.u. Paragate. Details about the movie are pretty sparse, to be honest. It's known that of all people, iMove were behind the project's animation, but to what level it actually went under, we have no actual idea. You probably know iMove from like a lot of background production work of anime in the early 2000s. They had their hands on a lot of stuff from like Death Note, Azumanga Daioh, and Black Butler.
What I'm curious about, what do you think of her?
What do I think of her?
Yes?
I don't think of her.
The thing was supposed to be a sort of weird, cyberpunk dystopian story featuring the two girls in what could only be described as a deviant art nightmare. Very little is actually known about the thing's plot. It's mostly guesswork patched together between like a few pieces of promo art that we got here and there. There was meant to be a plot summary and a crew listing in the January 2004 issue of New Type. But listen, at this point in the production of this video, I am gonna go looking on eBay for an old magazine. If you want that level of dedication, go to Hazel's channel. You know the link.
The Linman.
I'm far too gay and tired to go on eBay. What we do know from that article is that the film was slated for a 2004 release, and that it was supposed to be directed by Nori Kashima and Suomo Koda. And I shit you not, motherfucking Shinichiro Watanabe was working on the intro for it. The budget, the talent, the thing legit sounds absolutely insane. Like, if this was in any way real, this thing could have become an absolute classic overnight, no doubt. Oddly enough, this wouldn't even actually be the first or last time that t.A.T.u. were actually making an adaptation of their own life. Yeah, there's a 2008 film called You and I that's like a weird fictional version of their life. From what I remember, the movie was an adaptation of a book that was a serialized retelling of real events that the two girls went through in their life that was written by a Russian political figure. I've seen it, it's not very good. There's a few promo pieces scattered around various online places. The weirdest I found was a 12-inch vinyl of a series of remixes of their most famous song, All the Things She Said, which inexplicably just has an anime cover of the two girls cuddling in bed, yet has absolutely no reference to Paragate or the project at all, so it's unclear if this was even linked to that project. Seriously, the notes for this video are becoming one of the most complicated things I've ever done. My dissertation was less messy than this. So, you're probably all asking the pretty obvious question at this point. Why was this cancelled? Like, if they had a pretty big Japanese following, and the girls were clearly invested in storytelling and like weird pseudo aesthetic shit with their band, why wouldn't they branch out into multimedia projects? So like, what happened? Why did this go dark? Did it ever even get off the ground? Clearly something had to have happened.
You need to be locked in prison for a very long time.
So remember that producer I mentioned earlier? Well, as most things go, the project actually fell through because of a shitty man. Ivan Shapovalov can be pointed to the majority of t.A.T.u's particular approach to style. And by that, I mean, let's face it, he made the girls wear the outfits and make out.
He spends his time thinking up scandals instead of planning our artistic work. He made us out to be lesbians when we were just singing for lesbians. We wanted people to understand them and not judge them, that they are as free as anyone else.
This creep management would lead to the girls officially dropping him in early 2004, leaving their company Neferat and Ivan Shapovalov in the dust. Sadly, this transition in management would however be the death nail in the Paragate movie project, with the duo taking a short break for Volkova to go on maternity leave and Ivan being in charge of the project overseas. It sadly died a quiet death, and very little is actually known about if this movie was even in any way finished to this day. It's a damn shame, and everything about the theme seemed extremely up my alley, but hey, if the girls were actually able to get under for the thumb of a fetishistic weirdo, and the only thing that we lost was a movie that probably wasn't even in full production yet, I'd say we definitely got the best case scenario, all things considered. And hey listen, if you Lost Media crowd want a real shake at this, go ahead. Y'all Wiki says it's lost media, and hey, let's face it, the promo pics are probs all they really have. Anything's possible at this rate. Go for the goddamn punch, you have my blessing. So, what did we learn from all this? No, really, I'm asking, I have no idea.
What's the point?
Well, apparently the girls literally only have one anime influence, Sailor Moon. I mean, it makes sense, the thing has influenced gays and gals alike, and it was pretty much Dragon Ball for the queers. We love it, and it's done a lot for us. I wasn't quite the right age to have consumed it at its peak. I've only really stared at it from many a Tumblr aesthetic pages of the show's pastel background, so it is what it is. Obviously all this stuff is just varying forms of anime aesthetics used for marketing at the end of the day. These videos and advertisements were all constructed in some boardroom somewhere, but even in its cynicism, it's pretty clear that they aren't made all equal. Some came off as pretty desperate attempts to seem in with the growing Western appeal of anime, and some seemed genuinely filled with a love of the medium and its history. Weirdly enough, I'd say of all people, Dua Lipa actually killed it, which is something I never actually thought I'd say about her. I generally think, while yes, most of this is just pretty obvious Orientalism and it's pretty crass, I think we've definitely seen the absolute worst of this trend in something like the Ghost in the Shell remake.
Hi, Miku.
Which may go down as one of the most baffling attempts to repackage anime for a Western market. And I say that with hope that it will never happen again to that scope. But hey, the Cowboy Bebop and One Piece Netflix shows coming out soon, the bar is literally on the floor, so who knows. While saying that, the rise of VTubers and stuff like Kata's success, I do think there's a pretty good chance that anime and Western pop music could have a future together, possibly with a real attempt at like a VR idol someday. I mean, like, I bring it back to where we all started, but like, it's kind of insane that Miku isn't some popular VR model at this point. I mean, even Sonic has one, for God's sake. I don't know, it just seems like there's infinite appeal there for a VR-based pop star in this current climate. Especially with stuff like the success of Belle, or even the new One Piece Red movie creating literally a VR model for Uta. So there's definitely stuff happening, just slowly. Will we ever see a continuation to break the ice? Maybe not, but we can still keep the gay little dream alive. Keep sharing those sped up versions of pop music songs to anime aesthetics, keep cosplaying and lip syncing to Gaga, and keep the idea and dream that one day we might see Panty and Stocking Season 2.
And I promise you, it'll be a morning to remember.
Knowing the line between obsession and influence is a really hard thing to grasp these days, especially in a world so media focused at this point. It's kind of impossible to end of a concrete note on a video so nebulous as anime idols, but I think we can end with a piece of advice from truly one of the most important voices of our generation. To quote Eve in one of the most important music videos ever created, Rich Girl by Gwen Stefani, come together all over the world. From the hood to Japan, Harajuku girls. What? It's all love. What? It's all love. Shouldn't matter, shouldn't matter, shouldn't matter.
もしお金欲しいだったらもしお金もしだらら